Hey friends, I'm Mike, a late diagnosed autistic adult. Today we're tackling a deeply sensitive and crucial topic, the belief by some people that autism is a form of demonic possession or spiritual affliction. Whilst I respect everyone's right to their beliefs, it's important and vital, I think, to address these statements head on because they perpetuate extremely harmful stereotypes about autism and autistic people. So let's dive in and understand why these misconceptions are both incorrect and damaging. Autism has often been misunderstood throughout history. Behaviours that deviated from social norms were frequently attributed to supernatural or mystical causes, from accusations of demonic possession to claims of divine inspiration, perhaps. Autistic individuals have faced a wide range of misguided interpretations of their neurodiversity. As our scientific understanding has grown, so has our ability to recognise autism for what it truly is, a natural variation in human neurology. This shift allows us to move away from harmful stigmas and towards a more inclusive and supportive approach that focuses on identifying and accommodating autistic support needs rather than pathologizing our very nature. But despite these advancements, some harmful beliefs persist. Let's look at some recent examples. Here is one particularly troubling statement.
Like, I know a minister who has seen lots of kids that are autistic, that he cast that demon out and they were healed, and then he had to pray and their brain was rewired and they were fixed. Why is my kid have autism? Well, either the devil's attacked them, he's brought this infirmity upon them, he's got them where he wants them, and or God just doesn't like them very much and he made them that way. Well, my God doesn't make junk. God just doesn't like them very much and he made them that way. Well, my God doesn't make junk.
You're thinking, all right, this is just one guy, right? Just one guy's really crappy hot take. Well, no. Here's someone else.
Are you telling me my kid's possessed?
No, I'm telling you, your kid could be demonized and attacked, but your doctor calls it autism.
These statements highlight a deep-seated misinformation problem that is loudly proclaimed by those who should be, in my opinion, advocating for compassion and understanding. Autism is not a disease, a mental illness, or a condition that requires a medical intervention or a spiritual one. The Bible, like any religious text, does not encompass modern medical knowledge, and using it to invalidate scientific understanding will only perpetuate harm. Labelling autism as a form of possession reinforces really harmful, out-of-date stereotypes that can lead to discrimination, exclusion, and even abuse of autistic people. It perpetuates the myth that autistic individuals need to be cured or exorcised rather than understood and accepted. Yeah, Zana. Hello. Yes. Here is an example from another US evangelical church claiming that a young autistic boy has been cured of his autism. They describe how the demon of autism, which allegedly, coincidentally, quite handily also spoke English, left him.
And I declare on 3, every spirit attached to which she renounced, every spirit of autism and mental sickness must leave in Jesus' name. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, I leave. What just happened?
I don't know what just happened.
Do you want to share how you feel different?
Well, it all started after I met you. I decided to change a lot. I decided to watch Beginner's Bible, not other YouTubes. So, Savio, I am suffering from autism. When I met to Five Church, I changed to being bad to good. And after that, I stay good for my rest of my days.
This portrayal is heartbreaking. It conditioned the boy to believe that autism is associated with being bad or evil, which is fundamentally untrue and really damaging. Can we just get over this now, please? Also, the boy's mother might be describing Echolalia when she talks about special noises.
He made a special noise which he used to make when the spirit attacked him. All of a sudden, he said sound and then...
The boy's special noise might be related to echolalia, or auditory sensory seeking. It's one of the reasons why autistic people often seem to struggle with anxiety issues. If you find comfort by making certain sounds, this might not go down well in public. So you learn to mask. You learn to mask those sounds, those behaviours, or not do them. Families influenced by these beliefs may subject their autistic family members to religious rituals or practices aimed at curing them. These practices can be traumatic and divert families from seeking appropriate support, ultimately hindering the well-being of the autistic people themselves. Having been involved in evangelical churches throughout my teens and early 20s, I've witnessed firsthand the harmful impact of mislabeling behaviours as spiritual afflictions. I participated in numerous evangelical exorcisms where conditions like alcoholism or pornography addiction were treated through spiritual rituals, a spiritual lens, rather than seeking professional help. This environment also creates a stigma for those who undergo exorcisms or deliverance sessions. They're often viewed with suspicion afterwards. Maybe they're feared to be able to relapse into their old patterns or into misguided beliefs, maybe revert back to their demonic afflictions, whether that's addiction or autism.
I don't want to come home and find out there was an exorcism.
For autistic individuals, I think it's fair to say we can be trusting and may struggle with social cues. This can be really, really damaging. I remember being incredibly naive at that age. Watching videos like the ones used for marketing by these churches, it's easy to see how a teenage autistic person might mimic expected behaviours. This is a behaviour we call masking. This means they're hiding their true selves to gain acceptance, leading to significant emotional and psychological strain down the road. This is Rick Morrow, a former member of the school board in Richland, Missouri, and he has made some alarming statements about autism. Over to you, Rick.
I made a statement Wednesday night talking about demons, and we're going to keep talking about them on Wednesday night. And I made a statement. I said, let's talk about something demonic, and I said autism. And then I said, God doesn't make junk. If I was to stand up here and say cancer is junk, people would agree. If I were to stand up here and say addiction is junk, people would agree. But for some reason, when I shined the light on this subject, it has been blown so far out of proportion.
Holding a position of power in public education, Rick's beliefs can directly influence policies affecting autistic students. Imagine being in a classroom where your school board member believes that autistic students are demonically possessed. This not only fosters a hostile educational environment, but also denies these students the support and understanding that they deserve. With statistics showing that 1 in 36 individuals are formally diagnosed with autism, and that the true ratio being much higher than this stance would negatively impact countless lives, at least one person per classroom. Thankfully, Rick resigned from the school board after pushback, both from local people in his congregation and a Change.org petition. Next, let's talk about Chris Gore from Bethel Church in California. As the Director for Supernatural Healing, what an amazing job title that is. That's almost like being boss of the X-Men. Anyway, Chris has made claims that suggest autism can be significantly improved or even cured through spiritual intervention.
I got such a heart to see autism fall. I hate autism. It is not from God.
Chris demonstrated a prayer session where he greeted a sleeping autistic girl with Shalom, a Hebrew word meaning peace, and claimed that after the prayer, the child no longer exhibited autistic traits, but did, weirdly, smell of dead fish.
Hope had a severe level of Asperger's, and she was just not socially adept in any way. I said I released the shalom of heaven into Hope right now in Jesus' name. And that was about it. I said, bless you, got to go. From the next morning, they came into the conference. From when Hope woke up, she stunk, absolutely reeked of dead fish.
It smells like dead fish in here.
For a number of days after her mum prayed. I'm not even going to begin to explain what I think it is. I have no idea. But she stunk.
What are you going to do with dead fish?
And they came into the conference. The conference was going on the next day. She comes into the conference and they're registering for the day. And the lady at the checkout said, "Man, have you got a rotten sandwich, fish sandwich in your bag or something?" You know, I mean, like everybody could smell she's just detoxifying something out of her. I don't know.
This assertion is deeply problematic for several reasons. Let's quickly outline them. Number one, a lack of evidence. There is no scientific evidence supporting the idea that autism can be cured or reversed through prayer or any other spiritual means. Any means at all, actually. Two, misrepresentation of terms. The use of shalom in this context is misinterpreted too.
Now, shalom in the original language means the spirit that destroys chaos.
Originally, shalom means peace, an absence of war.
Shalom.
Shalom. Thank you, Mum. Shalom. Yes, shalom. Shalom to you all. Oh! You buggering lunatic!
Its use here is twisted to fit a narrative that lacks validity. 3. Impact on autistic individuals. Such claims can create false hope and lead families away from seeking evidence-based therapies that could genuinely support their children. I mean, what's the problem with supporting autistic people to live their best lives? Why is it always no autistic people rather than support them? It's kind of weird, don't you think? Anyway. Autism is a lifelong neurodevelopmental condition, and while individuals can learn to manage certain challenges, it cannot be cured. Comparing autism to fears like thunder and lightning, these natural developmental phases underscores that autistic traits are inherent and not symptoms of a disease. The thing is, when I was little, I was also scared of thunder and lightning. I used to hide from it, and I don't anymore. I also don't smell a fish, dead or otherwise, no matter what Nina might tell you. And children's developmental trajectories are not fixed either. It is possible to be scared of thunder and of lightning when you're younger, and less so later in life, and there's no evidence whatsoever that autism can be cured or reversed by any means at all. And for the reversal of autism in 70 children, anything can be asserted without evidence. And as the late Christopher Hitchens once said, what can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. So, proof or it didn't happen. So, what is autism? Autism is a neurodevelopmental condition recognised by the global medical community, including the World Health Organization and the American Psychiatric Association. It's characterised by differences in social interaction, communication, and behaviour. These differences are not indicative of a disease or illness, but are variations, natural variations, in how individuals perceive and interact with the world. Many challenges faced by autistic individuals are not solely due to their neurological differences, but are exacerbated by societal barriers. Look, think of it this way. Imagine being a wheelchair user who can't use stairs and wanting to access a building that only has steps. The social model of disability recognises that the problem lies not with the person, but with the building, right? It's with the environment that doesn't accommodate their needs. Similarly, for autistic individuals, societal attitudes and lack of understanding create significant barriers in nearly every aspect of life. When someone in a position of authority, such as a religious leader, when they stigmatise and other autistic people, it exacerbates isolation and exclusion. This perpetuates outdated and harmful myths about neurological differences. So, for example, consider what happens when you combine misunderstandings about what autism is with misinterpretation of developmental milestones, and you also include a teaspoon of wishful thinking to the mix. In this example, a religious family claimed that their daughter wasn't speaking in full sentences at 3 years old, but after 30 minutes of holding her off the ground and praying for her disjointedness of her autism to be cured, she was cured because she asked to be put down to play with a friend after being held up for 30 minutes. Yes. That's the standard of evidence we're talking about here.
I want to share a miracle testimony that I experienced firsthand with my daughter. My daughter was 3 years old. She was struggling with her development, and they had done some tests and told us essentially that she was autistic. So I began to realize the thing that the doctor was telling me didn't align with what God had told me. My husband picked my daughter up and he's holding her just in front of him like this, and her little feet were dangling. And I remember it so clearly. We prayed and prayed. It was probably about 30 minutes, and we just asked the Lord for his healing power. We asked him to just heal my daughter's mind, to heal anything, any, disjointedness that had happened. We prayed over that. All of a sudden, her little friend comes out and she's running around having fun. And my daughter looks up at my husband and says, "Daddy, can I get down and go play with my friends now, please?"
Sorry, Brittany, that's not a miracle by any standards. Not even the Pope would sign off on that. The Catholic Church now even have a new inquisition to judge whether an event was supernatural or not. And as for their daughter's autism, most autistic children are not diagnosed until after 3 years old, as developmental differences are much clearer the older the child is. If I look exasperated, it's because I am. We often see claims of autism reversal, like in the twin study that I debunked recently, where traits are given, for instance, let's say mild speech delays, that miraculously improve over time or with intensive therapy. The null hypothesis is never tested for. That is to say, perhaps the child will naturally develop more coherent speech as they age, and that it was that, a little time, and not the stated intervention that reversed or cured autism. Most autistic children are not formally diagnosed until after 3 years old, when developmental differences become more apparent. I didn't speak in full sentences either when I was 3, and look at me now. When someone in authority, such as those who speak from a pulpit over their congregations, starts with stigmatizing and othering autistic people, it can make the situation for everybody so much worse. It creates a culture of isolation and exclusion and perpetuates Bronze Age myths about neurological differences. It's not even Bronze Age myths, actually. No, the Bible doesn't stigmatize autistic people. Why do they? It's vital to move away from harmful misconceptions towards understanding and acceptance. Autism is not a spiritual affliction or the work of the devil. It's a different way of experiencing the world. By educating ourselves and others, we can combat misinformation and create a more inclusive society that values neurodiversity. That's what I'm trying to do here on this channel. If you need something to wash down this video with, something nice, yesterday Merlin and Gwyn went off to meet their new families with my good friends that I met through this channel, and they joined Maurice and Salem and Appa, so that's essentially all 8 now settled. 3 staying with us. Last week I posted a video about 20 autistic love languages. It's linked right here, so give it a click. Oh, this is Anna. This is Tosca. I live stream every week on Tuesdays, and thank you to the lovely people in the credits here who make this video possible. It couldn't be done without you, and I hope you know that. Thank you so much. Bye, see you in the next one. Bye.